Here we go!
Hey Blue Blurs, what's up? It's your boy GamerBlake90, presenting to you the finale in my playthrough series of Sonic 4 Episode 1. It's no surprise that we're already here at the end point, considering that we're Sonic players and we're known for going fast. But seriously, there wasn't a whole lot to cover about this game. You just had the 4 primary zones, the 7 special stages, and of course the highlight of this video, and in turn the finale of the game, the Egg Station Zone. So as you can see, the word egg is typed out as an acronym instead of a whole word, as there are periods next to each of the letters. So obviously it's supposed to stand for something, but what exactly is it supposed to stand for? Because the most I can come up with is Eggman Galactic Grubbler? But don't tell him I said that, because I don't think Eggman would appreciate being painted off as the type to grovel instead of a dictator in charge of the world. Though he's tried to take over the world for a good number of decades now and has failed every time. So I guess Grubbler does suit him better. Oops. But I'll leave it to y'all to fill in the blanks for yourselves. In the meantime, we're gonna jump into the final stage of the game, the Egg Station Zone. Fittingly subtitled, The Final Showdown in Space. Now, there's typically a cutscene that unfolds before you actually start this level, but I guess it's only visible if you, play through the whole game without ever backing out to the level select menu. At least that's my theory, anyway. But there's not a whole lot to see in the cutscene itself. It just depicts Sonic pursuing Eggman to the furthest reaches of outer space, using what looks like a hovercraft that's modeled somewhat after a tornado, as there's a symbol of tornado on the side of it, but there's no pilot seat to utilize. There's like a handle on the side of the machine, and then Sonic just hangs onto it as it takes him onto outer space, and then after that, the Egg Station Zone begins. So it's not a substantially huge cutscene. That's why I didn't really bother including it. But yeah, as you may be realizing, the Egg Station Zone starts out as a boss gauntlet, which reenacts each and every boss that you face throughout the entire game. But here's the sweet part of it. Each boss comes at half their health, so you only need to hit them 4 times. Let's see if I can nail this first hit. Ah, well, crap! I fell off right before my air dash came out. Oops. But yeah, the Egg Station Zone starts out by reenacting every single boss that you already faced at half their health, so it'll be somewhat easier because of the fact. However, each of these bosses have been given some tweaks to make them a little more challenging. Take for instance the first boss, which was obviously modeled after Splash Hill Zone. You have platforms that rise up and down the second you board them, as opposed to just hovering stationary. The second boss, not a whole lot to see. You just abuse the upper half of the area where you fight the boss, and you can easily beat Eggman without ever putting yourself at risk. And then with Lost Labyrinth's boss, where the pillars on the walls come out a lot faster than they normally do, so you have to time it very carefully, so you don't get turned into a Sonic flavor IHOP pancake. IHOP, that sounds delicious. And here we have the second phase of Mad Gear Zone boss, which is definitely gonna be annoying, because look at that! We've got the explosive balloons that made up the second half, what? Oh. Okay! Oh god, that made me so anxious. I heard the sound effect of what was gonna be the enormous yellow balloon about to come into play. You'd be more likely to encounter that hazard here instead of when you fight the boss at the Mad Gear Zone instead of here. But it seems I nipped it in the bud before it could become a threat. Now then, here we have the true final boss. Eggman, seriously, what? Have you been working out or something? Sega, since when does an egg-shaped scientist have more speed than a blue hedgehog? I know it's kind of somewhat of a contradictory question, considering Hedgehog's not actually known for going fast up until Sonic came along. But seriously, he's the fastest thing alive. How is Eggman faster? I don't get it. I almost messed up. What I was gonna tell you is, you could land 2 homing attacks at a time before that arm at the side of the Dead Egg robot's body comes up to essentially guard Eggman's vulnerable area. And then once it lowers back down, you can continue to throw one homing attack after another up until you finish the first phase of this boss, which is relatively easy, honestly. And the ending of it is signaled by the sight of smoke rising up from the robot, as well as electricity encircling him entirely, meaning you can no longer directly attack him. Personally, I think this is where the makers of Sonic Robo Blast 2 got the idea to electrify the Black Core Zone boss as you fight him, as you'll notice on my playthrough of that game. But anyway, let's stay focused here. This is where the second phase happens. Our targeting reticle will show up whenever he goes off screen from the very top. You'll want to avoid him, and make sure not to be at the same area you will last as you don't get crushed by the robot. And then once he lands again, he'll shoot out one of his claws at you. It will then turn upwards to go off screen, and then it will land back down. If you hit the claw before it attaches itself to the ground, you can send it right back at him to knock him back and expose his weak point once again. And then you have the opportunity to go on the attack, as you have just seen. Again, you can land 2 homing attacks at a time before you're forced to retreat, and from there on out, the pattern this second phase follows becomes somewhat unclear. Like, he'll either go back to running across the map like he's about to do, and by the way, you can time your spin dash when you go underneath him to avoid getting stomped on. And eventually, he will start spitting pink energy blasts at you. You gotta be very careful so that you can avoid these. And don't be fooled, I don't like this final boss theme. Yes, I'm humming to it, I will confess to that. Doesn't mean I like it, it's so freaking repetitive. Oh yeah, and did I mention there is a laser that comes into play as the boss fight progresses? It's really, really hard to avoid. So if I were you, I would smack the claw right back at him without getting yourself hurt, so you can avoid it. Okay, we're gonna jump, and got him! Haha! Wow, I made that look easy. Although I have to be honest, I've done multiple retakes on this final boss fight, so I had a good deal of practice going into this challenge. And another reason I was so anxious about beating this boss without taking any damage is because you get an achievement for doing so. And as you might imagine, it's somewhat of a difficult achievement to get, especially if you aren't very well practiced on all of the bosses. The Mad Gear Zone boss that we just dealt with a bit ago is a typical showstopper if you're trying to make that attempt. Oh wow, we actually did unlock it! Untouchable. So that's the name of the achievement that I was going for the entire time. But yeah, that is it for Sonic 4, Episode 1. Oh, and you get the opportunity to pick up all these rings. Can I get them? Oh shoot, I missed those last 3 at the top of that platform right there. If you got all of them, you would have gotten a brief glimpse of Super Sonic before the game actually ended. But seeing as you already got all the Chaos Emeralds, it really doesn't matter. It's just a mini-game for the heck of a mini-game. Well guys, that is it. We are done with Sonic 4, Episode 1. And just in case you want a couple more notes how to take care of the final boss, let me reiterate exactly how it works. It starts out as the boss gauntlet, so you'll want to make sure you are very well practiced on each of the 4 main bosses from the 4 zones. That way you can beat them easily. They each only take 4 hits to beat, so you can definitely handle those guys. Although, stay on your toes when you're fighting the Mad Gear boss, as the blue and yellow Eggman balloons may throw you off your rhythm a great deal. And although you didn't see it in this video, he will also include spiked balls in his armada. And once you've taken care of the boss gauntlet, you are then met with a Death Egg robot. He will start out taking a little stroll down the lane going on, "What's up, dude?" And basically just letting you have your way with him. You can homing attack him repeatedly until the second phase starts. He'll then zip off screen from the very top, here and there, landing to either run across the map trying to crush you, or shooting out claws at you, which is somewhat of an homage to the Death Egg robot's claw attack in Sonic 2, only it'll slowly fall back to the ground, while there are spurts of electricity coming from it. You notice how I didn't just immediately attack the thing whenever there was electricity on the claw. That will have a hitbox, so you need to time your attacks so that you don't touch the electricity, and you can send the claw back at the Death Egg robot. Once you do so, he is left vulnerable again, and you can continue to have your way with him. At best, you can get up to 8 homing attacks, because, as you may have seen, I've done 2 homing attacks per repetition with button mashing. That always works. And as the boss fight progresses, he will start to throw out more attacks, like a laser that sweeps across the map, and those pink energy blasts. If you can hit the claws back at him quicker, you can nip those attacks in the bud before they can start to become a threat, and then for that last attack that I dealt to him, the klaxon will start to blare more rhythmically, and the camera will slightly move upwards, but the floor is out of sight, and the targeting reticle will rapidly move to the left and right without actually following you. Plan where Eggman will fall accordingly, and then time your jump so that when Eggman's robot falls back onto the ground, you won't get stunned. Because if you do get stunned, you've lost. Because you won't be able to hit him quickly enough to rebound from that little inconvenience, as the floor will break out underneath your feet, and you will lose a life. So you want to time your jump so you don't get stunned, and then deliver one last homing attack before the floor actually collapses. And if you do so, you've beaten the Egg Station Zone. Whew, a bit of a long-winded explanation there, but I wanted to be sure that I'd covered everything, because part of the point of my content is to be educational in case people want to delve into these games and have a better idea of how to play them so they can make for a better experience for themselves. I know not everyone cares about that, of course, but I often think that the more you know about a game, the more you have fun with it. Like if you go into a basketball court not knowing how to play basketball, are you gonna enjoy the session at all? Personally, I don't think so. So that is the credits for Sonic 4 Episode 1, and we're going to get a brief look at a teaser for Sonic 4 Episode 2, which is mainly the sight of a familiar antagonist. Well, two familiar antagonists. Eggman's like, "Oh, ha, 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 this isn't over yet, Sonic." The guy never gets up. And, "Oh, yeah, boy, Metal Sonic." I'm not sure if I already mentioned this, but the events of Sonic 4 actually take place in the same universe created by the events of Sonic CD. Because supposedly, the event of Sonic CD calls for multiple timelines involving, like the appearance of Little Planet and whatnot, which is where the events of Sonic CD took place. Some were displeased by this piece of information, seeing as, I may have mentioned this already, but they're not too fond of Sonic 4's attempt to reenact the classic era through somewhat modernized gameplay, and meant to be a continuation of Sonic CD legacy. You judge that however you see fit, but I guess they saw it fit to have Sonic 4 take place in the same universe created by Sonic CD's events, so that they could integrate Metal Sonic into the second episode, which you can look forward to me playing through at some point, but not anytime soon, because I've got other games that I promised I would cover for a while now, and still need to do. And then of course all the mods and fan games for other Sonic games that I need to throw in now and then. As you might have realized, I play Sonic 4 on PC, so there may be some Sonic 4 mods floating around, but I haven't really investigated that, so don't hold your breath on Sonic 4 mod showcases. I seriously doubt that will be a thing. So, before I close this video, and rather than just have you stare at the stage select screen all day, I'm just gonna pick a stage and play through it like, which one do I want to play through? Oh, the heck with it, I'll just play Splash Hill Zone. And while I do that, I'm gonna try to give my complete thoughts on Sonic 4 without looking too foolish. Though talking and playing never was easy for me. Most of the time I had to cut myself off to stay focused while I took care of the final boss, and while I demonstrated my latest attempt to grab that last achievement, which I probably would not have nailed if not for the fact that I failed multiple times trying to get it before this video actually went up. But yeah, Sonic 4 Episode 1. The game that tried. And it had an admirable effort, I'll give it that. Like, I feel that Episode 2 definitely improved upon the flaws that were highly evident in Sonic 4 Episode 1. And there's quite a number of them. We'll start with how Sonic looks. I have no issue with them using modern Sonic for the Sonic 4 games, because if you remember, there are the Nintendo DS titles called Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventures. Putting modern Sonic in a 2D Sonic game isn't necessarily a formula for disaster. It can actually be done to very strong results, like Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventure. Those did the job really well. So see, my issue is not that they chose modern Sonic for a classic style Sonic game. I can live with that. Really, I can. I don't know why they did it, but I can live with it. But if you recall me complaining about the art style, well, that's one of my bigger complaints. In particular, Sonic. Like, and it may just be because I've had to slightly lower the resolution so it could accommodate my low NPC, but Sonic looks very, very blurry in a way that just sort of hurts the eye. Especially when he's going fast and his quills move out behind him, obviously to represent them being blown back by the wind from the motion that Sonic is undergoing, but, well, I'm probably not really giving off a lot of examples about it, but he looks so blurry, like somebody just splashed watercolor all over him. Okay, there it is just now. It just feels odd to look at. I don't know why, but it just gets to me sometimes. It's not a really major complaint, I'll admit that much, and it's not gonna be anywhere near enough to turn me off from playing a Sonic game. Though I really do love Sonic, and it's gonna take a lot to turn me away from playing a Sonic game. Though Sonic Boom sure did a good job of that, but I had to be fair to Sonic Boom here. I never played the Sonic Boom games. What ultimately turned me off from trying, though, was how Sonic and Knuckles looked in those games, and yeah, overall the design choice didn't go over well with me, but that's a discussion for another time. We're talking Sonic 4 Episode 1. The art direction. It feels like somebody just splashed watercolor all over the place without really thinking and then tried to build upon it from there. And in the case of some of the zones, it didn't really work to great effect. Take for instance Splash Hill Zone. It feels like more of a backdrop as far as the background is concerned instead of an actual background. Like, I can look at the beautiful ocean with all the rocks jutting out from it, and I can buy that as a legitimate background for a Sonic 4 stage because it looks beautiful. But then you look at all the bushes and rocky walls that show up in front of it, and it just feels like somebody just cut them out on paper and splashed them over an oceanic background and called it a day. Like, what? The art direction is just... I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel right. It really doesn't. Now, although the quality is scaled down greatly to accommodate a handheld system, I think the environment in Sonic Rush and Sonic Rush Adventures looked a lot better. And mind you, I haven't actually played Rush Adventures, but I've seen gameplay for that, and I've recently beaten Sonic Rush, so yes, I have some grounds on which to draw comparisons here. And although the Nintendo 3DS, well not 3DS, I'm sorry, a regular Nintendo DS game, those are maybe when 3DS actually came out. But for the modern 2D games on the DS, the art certainly looked a lot better on those, or maybe I'm just going crazy. It just doesn't feel like it was very inspired here. I can't really write up a great description for it. My commentary may seem better than my ability to come up with written scripts at times, but the point is, in Splash Hill Zone, it's painfully evident that the art direction took a downturn for Sonic 4 Episode 1. It looked okay in Casino Street. Nothing extraordinary, but compared to Splash Hill, it looked a lot better. I would say that the soundtrack for Splash Hill is pretty good. Or maybe that's me being generous. Okay, yeah, it is kinda good. The Act 3 soundtrack in particular, I definitely love it. It conveys the vibe that the sunset background here is trying to establish, so I can totally dig with that, but... Well, I can totally vibe with that, bro. Not dig with that. How can you take a vibe and dig with it? Somebody wanna tell me how that works? But, yeah, the art direction for Sonic 4, very odd, and not at all up to the usual standard that I would expect from a Sonic game. And then there's the physics. Of course, you can easily work around the very oddball physics that this game comes with. Like, I'll tell you what, I think it would be better if I just showed it to you. And I don't think Splash Hill Zone is gonna be the best stage to demonstrate this at. It's never gonna go to Casino Street, Act 1, Neon City, Adrift in Midnight. Well, this video is kind of dragging out longer for a finale than I would have expected, but I really do want to show you why I think of this game the way that I do. But I mentioned the physics. They feel very odd. Like, in the classic Sonic games, your best bet of making it up, an art corner, if I can find it, something like this. It should be down here, I think? Aha, yeah, I think it would be perfect here. Using the classic Sonic games, your best bet of making it up, sections like this, where you go upwards along a wall, would be to spin dash, right? Well, you would think that, but for some reason, that is not the optimal strategy here. You're actually better off running up that left slope right there and then running up to the right and you'll make it just fine. But a spin dash usually gets the job done in the Genesis style games, but not so much here. And also, this is where it gets even crazier. I think I remember being able to walk up it at some point. Or maybe not. I guess you have to do, I guess you actually have to build up some speed from a quick little run, and then you'll have a much easier time making it up there than a spin dash, but seriously. Did that really make any sense to you? How does a spin dash not help you get up a slope like that? Like, why? That's very odd. And a lot less than I would expect with the physics in a Sonic game. Like, see like that right there? if you just continue sliding down a wall until you're actually running, you can definitely make it up there a lot better than you would if you just did a spin dash. Granted, you don't have as high a hill to climb here. You can easily spin dash and you'll make it here just fine, but yeah. The physics for Sonic 4 don't line up with what I would expect from a Sonic game, like, at all. I don't know if I did the greatest job demonstrating that flaw here, but it's been a common critique for the Sonic 4 games, so I'm sure there's going to be a fair amount of agreement with this comment, or I could be wrong. Now, on to the, you know what, I'll finish this while I talk about it, but on to the soundtrack. I always get so sad when the soundtrack of a Sonic game doesn't meet with my expectations. Like, to me, what makes great soundtrack is when it is able to draw you in, whether it's about the theme of the character that you are playing as, or the stage that you are playing in. Typically, Sonic music excels in that department. But that's not so much the case in Sonic 4 Episode 1. Like, I'm sorry, I use the word like an awful lot. I'll try to cut in my vocabulary, but why exactly does Eggman's boss theme, or at least the first phase of it, sound like a carnival tune? On one hand, I guess it fits him because Eggman is a clown. That's all he's basically turned out as, because you can't really take him seriously when he's tried for like decades. Oh god, I'm using the word like again. You know what, I don't even care. But you can't really take him seriously when he's tried for decades to take over the world and just fails now and then. And apparently, and I could be wrong on this, but from hearsay, it was an unused theme in Sonic 3D Blast? If that's the case, that's new information to me, as I never would have suspected it. But yeah, exactly why does it sound like a carnival tune? At least when you get to the second phase of a boss battle against Eggman, it actually sounds threatening, like Eggman's getting really frustrated with you and trying his hardest to finish the job. That part of the music I like, but the first phase of it, maybe you live in a circus, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't convey a threatening tone like at all. Ugh. And then there's of course the soundtrack for the Sonic stages. For Casino Street, it's not bad. It definitely sends a message about where it is we're at exactly. I like it, and I did kind of give some points to the Flash Hill soundtrack. I don't think it's extraordinary, although a recent remix that came up with that stage at the Sonic YouTube channel certainly redeems it in my eyes. But anybody else kind of feeling where I'm coming from? The soundtrack in Sonic 4 just didn't quite meet my usual standards that I have for it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not of the impression that if the music is not of a rock and roll genre, that it can't work well for Sonic, because on the contrary, depending on the purpose you have for the piece of music you're writing, it doesn't even have to be rock and roll. And I could list a decent number of examples about it, but that's a story for another time. The soundtrack is a hit and miss for me. For some stages, it works just fine, like Casino Street and to an extent Splash Hill Zone. Lost Labyrinth, I didn't really like. Mad Gears is okay. And when you took on the boss gauntlet at X Station Zone, it was largely repetitive. Like, it mainly used the second phase of the boss theme, and that was it, up until you got to the Death Egg Robot, which became... Dude, the repetitiveness is real. It's absolutely real. It feels like not nearly enough effort was put into the soundtrack like I've come to expect from them. I feel it just could have been better. So much better. And we're gonna briefly revisit the gameplay. It's not terrible, contrary to what some will tell you. I really don't think it's terrible. But if you look specifically at the physics, I can see why they would turn you off, because they certainly follow some abnormalities that strongly contrast with what I would expect from a game that's supposed to continue the classic legacy for the Blue Hedgehog. Along with the modernized moveset they decided to throw in, and yeah, it just doesn't seem to fit for me. I do think the modern moveset, that being the air dash and the homing attack, certainly adds to your ability to go fast. I couldn't really think of a different way to put it, but it certainly adds to the variety of ways to which you can speed your way through these levels, and it's okay, I'll say that. But then you look at the physics and they just don't blend very well with one another. At all. And that's unfortunate. It doesn't stop with it being a fun game, of course. as long as you're able to separate it from your vision of what you would expect from a game that's supposed to continue a legacy of the classic Sonic lineup. And I don't feel Sonic 4 succeeds in that goal. That said, you might be able to squeeze some fun out of it, although the 2 episodes of Sonic 4 are pretty short in length, although I do think Episode 2 offers way more flavor than Episode 1 does, and we are going to cover that game inevitably, I can assure you of that. But for now, take my word for it. Episode 2 is comparatively more fun to play than Episode 1, and we're gonna experience that much in a future playthrough. I know I already played through that game, but the video quality is not up to what I would expect from my content, and I want to fix that. Granted, I'm somewhat limited on how good my quality for my content can be, seeing as I'm stuck with a low-end setup, but I will do the very best that I can, so please bear with me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Sonic 4 Episode 1. Definitely not one of the better Sonic games out there, so it's not one that I would wholeheartedly recommend, but hey, if you enjoy it yourself, no hard feelings here, my guy, because I did say there is some fun to be squeezed out of this game, so by all means, keep squeezing your fun out of Sonic 4 Episode 1, and of course Episode 2. But yeah, I can kind of understand why this game got so much flack. Oh, and that reminds me, it became so nostalgia-reliant, like it showed a great deal of hesitation on Sonic Team's part to be daring, to be inventive, like they used to be in the earlier decades of the Sonic franchise. This game showcased a great deal of hesitation on their part, and that really, really sucked. It really sucked. Yes, the physics were terrible, but it's not something that can't be managed from a player's perspective, and I just think they should have tried harder. If you wanted to go for an homage to the Sonic games, you should have stuck to Sonic Generations. But that should be my overall critique for Sonic 4 Episode 1. Yeah, the more I think about it, I think it's a critique that I could still apply to the Sonic team of today when you look at Sonic Forces. That too was nostalgia-reliant, although there was comparatively more effort for it to go its own route, which I respect. The problem is, it didn't know which route it wanted to go. Hence, the identity crisis that has become what Sonic Forces is known for, which is highly unfortunate, and sadly Sonic 4 suffers from the same flaw. Episode 2 breaks that trend somewhat, but then ultimately it falls back onto the nostalgia as a crutch. And, well, yeah, but let me just stop right now. I'm still someone who very much enjoys the Sonic series, and despite whatever gripes I may have about a select few games in the lineup, whether it be Sonic Boom, the Sonic 4 titles, Sonic 06, Sonic Forces, or what have you, I very much enjoy the series, and I can definitely find some fun out of it. But see, it's not the game specifically that I enjoy about Sonic, it's what I'll primarily showcase on this channel, of course, but I enjoy Sonic for the character that he is, not just for how his games play. So I think that alone helped me to work past the, nuances, is that how you pronounce the word? It's spelled N-U-A-N-C-E-S, nuances. If I mispronounce that, feel free to butcher me in the comments down below. I'm not really afraid to showcase my own setbacks when pronouncing some words. I do try to make it a point to look them up before I record a video, but sometimes they'll come to me in the heat of the moment and then, I don't know, my brain just works weirdly. Jesus Christ, we're basically playing through the whole game while I'm talking about my critique on Sonic 4 Episode 1. It's like we're doing the whole playthrough in one video this time, but there was something I'd always wanted to do for a while, and I didn't want to leave you all just constantly staring at the level select menu while I talked about my feelings on this game, so I wanted to change it up a notch. But yeah, that is gonna do it for my playthrough of Sonic 4 Episode 1. If you enjoyed this series, oh my god, seriously, Egghead? Go away! If y'all enjoyed this series, do let me know what you thought about it with your likes and comments down below. And to keep up with my content, hit that sub button and ring that bell so you don't miss out on anything from your cheap with the blue blurs, Gamer Blake 90. I'm sorry this video dragged out a little longer than it should have. It should have ended minutes ago, but I did want to talk about what it is I thought about this game, and I'm not sure I really made a point to do that with the other playthroughs as I've completed them, so I'll make it a point to fix that. Anyway, this is where I'll stop the gameplay, as and as well as the video by extension. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope it helps you to fare a lot better when you take on the Egg Station Zone. And I also hope that all the other videos I post in the series helps you out as well. If it did, make sure to let me know, because it makes my heart tingle to know that I've helped make a difference for other gamers trying to enjoy their own stuff. So yeah, I will see you all next time. Until then, peace! Blue Blurs for life. Take care.